Shacks participated in that. It was so cool. Let's do this. I have in the last year gotten busier than I've ever been. We took a company public. I'm going to share our story with you today. I got 3 kids and an amazing wife, and I coach 3 teams on the weekends. And my life has been about defining the best use of time. So I'm going to promise you this next 30 minutes or so, we're going to give you the best of me so it's the best use of your time. Can we do that together? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's have some fun. So I'm going to tell you the story of Shake Shack. Total accidental company. It took me a minute to really think about how to approach this today with you, because we're preaching to the converted. It's tough for me to get up here and tell our story, but what's important about it is that I'm going to try to show you the breakthroughs that we've made, the rules that we've broken in order to build a company that we have today. I have worked in the restaurant business since I was 13. Started at a bagel shop in New Jersey, making bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, cream cheese. Never done anything else. I worked for Chili's. Where's my Chili's peeps here? Somewhere. Yeah. So I worked at Chili's making $6 an hour, working the fry station. I worked at Marriott. I went everywhere after school, from Aspen, Colorado to Hawaii to Seattle. Served Jim Senegal at a restaurant I used to run in Seattle. And met Danny Meyer 16 years ago and came back to New York City, where I live today. So it is my honor to lead our company and to share our story with you. So as we think about breakthroughs through conscious capitalism, how do I tell the story about what we do? I figured there is no better way than to take it down to something we all understand. Has anybody here ever eaten a French fry? All right, yes. Does anybody like French fries? I know everything I need to know about leadership through the humble French fry, and I'm going to tell you that story. All right, Shake Shack was born. It was 400 square feet. We didn't have room for anything but this frozen, crinkle-cut, classic French fry. So we did frozen fries. And over the years, from time to time, people challenged us and said, hey, you guys stand for something good, conscious capitalism. What's up with the frozen fries? You could do better. And every now and then we'd look ourselves in the mirror and say, yeah, maybe, but we like them, but people seem to like them, but yeah, maybe you're right. And the kicker came one day when Pete Wells, the feared restaurant reviewer of the New York Times, and our company comes from a fine dining history, he reviewed Shake Shack. We sell $5 hamburgers. You don't get a New York Times restaurant review when you sell $5 hamburgers. And we did, and we got 1 star. That was pretty cool, all right? 1 star is pretty good. And he kind of liked Shake Shack, but he said, Mr. Meyer runs one of the world's great restaurant companies. Can't one of his chefs show him how to make a decent French fry? And at that point, we looked ourselves in the mirror and we said, hell yes, God, why are we not doing this? Let's do it. So we set out on a journey. We went and found potato farmers. We scoured the earth. We found the best potatoes. We spent millions of dollars converting restaurants and adding fresh cut choppers. Everything was going to change for the French fry at Shake Shack. And on the day we launched, I sent Pete Wells that t-shirt, landed on his desk with a note from me and just said, Pete, heard. We heard you. And we had heard shirts all over our staff. Everybody in there said, heard, you told us this is what you wanted. And we created the best damn fresh cut fry ever. Man, they were so good. Look at how crispy. Anybody hungry? Getting hungry for lunch? Getting there? I was on a crusade, man, because I knew better. And I know about leadership, right? I'm a leader, and I decided that one of the things I'm certain of in leadership for sure is that no matter what, right or wrong, as a leader, I'm going to decide. I'm going to decide. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to share my vision, and then we're going to go after it. No matter what, nobody's ever going to catch me not deciding. So I decided, and I knew better, and we went out on this journey. Pause that story. We're going to come back to it. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Shake Shack. Let me start through a quick video that gives you a little bit more of a sense for what we do and who we are.
I tell you what, there's nothing better than a good Shake Shack burger.
Shake Shack, which has great burgers. They got a Shake Shack out there. They don't even care about the game. They're there for the burger.
Every day at every Shack, when people line up to come get a Shack burger, it blows us away.
I was so excited.
Shake Shack is an experience. That's all part of the community gathering that Shake Shack brings together.
It's for the burger, but it's not just for the burger. It's for you guys.
When I first got into the restaurant business in 1985, it was really to satisfy an entrepreneurial itch. After 10 years of operating just Union Square Cafe, my career would be one restaurant after the next that was one of a kind. And then accidentally, Shake Shack happened.
Shake Shack was born as a hot dog cart with the sole purpose of supporting an art project in Madison Square Park in 2001.
This little hot dog cart would attract a line of 60 or 70 people. And in 2004, we finally said, let's turn this into a full kiosk and let's add burgers and shakes. Lo and behold, 100 people would wait in line.
When we opened the second Shack, we realized this was something special.
I'm so excited about this. Shake Shack.
There are already super long lines all around the block just to get in. It's only been open a week.
Hey, Shake Shack, bam!
Okay, now you're talking.
See?
I got two of the best burgers they serve here in New York City. Shake Shack.
It's pretty unusual for an international chain of restaurants to have been born in New York City. What's even more exceptional is for that chain to have been born from a fine dining restaurant company.
Shake Shack has become a big
I love Shake Shack.
The core menu of Shake Shack is very simple. It's burgers, dogs, shakes, and fries. We were going to be the community gathering place of your neighborhood and bring back that old roadside burger stand feel. The Shack Burger is our version of the classic cheeseburger.
The most classic, iconic hamburger from dating back to the 1950s, because we really harness everything that's great about comfort food and amplify it.
Ground fresh every night and made with only the best beef.
What's happened is that the world has said, this is great.
Probably one of the greatest burgers on the planet.
Fine and casual together is a pretty delicious mashup. And then I thought the really fun thing is how civilized it feels to actually sit down with a beer or a glass of wine along with your cheeseburger. Look at what happens at the pickup line where people are excitedly waiting for their buzzer to go off for their food to be delivered to them. People taking pictures of this stuff and sending it to their friends.
You have a cult-like following here at Shake Shack.
Shake Shack is a beloved brand. We've been amazed every single day how many people are proud to hold that Shack bag. Our fans tell the story through social media. Their tweets, their Instagram posts, everything that they do leads to this incredibly loyal fan base around the world.
You can't go on holiday to New York and not go to Shake Shack.
Every time I'm back in New York, this is the spot to be at.
And I really like Shake Shack here. She's got great taste.
Often what we get is, I love that picture. When are you bringing a Shake Shack to my hometown?
Please bring Shake Shack to Tokyo! Our guests come to Shake Shack because they've heard the food is awesome, and then they get this added bonus of the way that we make them feel.
One of the best flavors in this entire restaurant is the warmth and hospitality that comes from our people. The team just exudes passion, and they're excited, and they're having fun.
Our culture of enlightened hospitality is the single most important part of our success.
It's not called the food service industry. It's called the hospitality industry, and it's about people. And you look around at this line and you see that reflected in this brand.
It means taking care of each other first. And when we do that, our team will take care of our guests, our community, our suppliers. That virtuous cycle will take care of our shareholders.
That's a quick thing. Thank you. Thank you. I actually cut that a little short because I'm short on time. But so how the heck did we get here? What really happened here? Danny Meyer spoke here a few years ago. I'm sure many of you have heard or met him. And he started in 1985 in New York City when you could count the number of great restaurants on one hand. And they all started with le or la. And it was stuffy, man, and you could not let your hair down. And Danny said, why? Whoever wrote the rule that we couldn't just have a place where you could roll up your sleeves and have good food and eat at the bar. Things that we take for granted today happened at Union Square Cafe. And there was this art project. We had a fine dining restaurant across the street, 11 Madison Park, today Michelin 3-star restaurant. And the artist's idea, as with all great neighborhood turnarounds, was taxis, New York taxis on stilts. And as part of it, he wanted a hot dog cart. So in our fine dining room of today, what is about a $1,000 meal for 2 people for dinner at 11 Madison Park, we cooked hot dogs. And we sent them out to this hot dog cart, and 50 people lined up, 100 people lined up, and all of a sudden this thing happened. And for 3 years, all the money we raised went to the park. Then Danny sat down one day in 2004, the city came to us and said, you guys should really make this permanent. And Danny penned the famous back of the napkin that hangs in my office today, his vision of what Shake Shack should be. The simplest form of that classic old roadside burger stand. And at that moment, we said to ourselves, okay, let's strip this down. Whoever wrote the rule that fast food has to act the way it does. What happened to fast food over the last 60 years? It was really good generations ago, right? It was the place you went with your car, with your girlfriend, with your buddies, with your mom, with your kids. You went there. It was the community gathering place, and it was fresh. And over the years, what fast food did is said, how quick we're going to pump you up with bad calories and low-quality food in an environment that you don't want to be in, so you leave. And you know what the best thing you could do for us in our business would be? Please don't even come in. The best thing you could do for our business model is don't come in. Everything about it, whoever wrote the rule, it has to be that way. So we stripped it down and we said, why? Whoever wrote the rule, it can't be fresh beef, ground fresh every night, using small local butchers, people who understand how to do things right. And when we take care of animals, they should be raised the right way, with no hormones and no antibiotics. And when we make ice cream, what we call frozen custard, we make it fresh all day. It never goes in a freezer to see day 2. It is made fresh. And when we make your shakes and your concretes, we scoop them by hand and we spin them by hand, one by one, to order. And when we team up with anyone, we think about things like chocolate. We think about the Mast Brothers in Brooklyn, a small startup, incredible, one of the best chocolates you'll ever eat in your life. And we team up with those guys instead of the big guys. We put people in business. When we think about beer and wine, we said, well, let's go make our own beer. And I teamed up with Garrett Oliver from Shackmeister, and we made Shackmeister Ale from Brooklyn Brewery. He and I sat down one day at the park and created the best beer to go with a burger. And when we thought about wine, why not call John Williams Organic Biodynamic Winery Frog's Leap in Napa Valley and sell that at Shake Shack? Whoever wrote the rule that you couldn't do that. And when we come into a neighborhood, what do most people do with their brand? They make a lot of noise, and maybe they put up a coming soon, you're so lucky to have us sign. So what do we do in Center City, Philadelphia? We built a live green wall. So instead of looking at our mess for 3 months of construction, you looked at that. And the next day when we opened, that's what it felt like. And when we decided to go to Brooklyn, we found a bunch of an artist who had done this post-Katrina New Orleans. And we wrote outside, "Before I die, I want to," hundreds of times. This is our team. It's our VP of real estate up there on the ladder. Next morning, it looked like that. And everybody said, you can't do this. They're going to write obscene things. And you know what happened? People came from all over New York City to go and see the wall and to write their dreams. So instead of us parachuting what we do into your town, we gave Brooklyn a chance to share its dreams with us. And it worked. That's our shack downtown Brooklyn today. Right now, as we speak, this exists in Tokyo. Those girls were right on the video. We are bringing a restaurant to Tokyo. It's under construction right now. And it's in this amazing spot called Gaien, which is this street lined with ginkgo trees that turn from green to gold. And the whole of Japan comes to see this, and we're going to be right in there. So what do we do as a way to get ourselves into the Japanese culture? We left a little mailbox out there with leaves, and people are now writing, as the leaves change, what's your plan to change your life? And you would not believe what people are sharing with us. And soon we'll open that restaurant in Tokyo. And let's talk for a minute about social media and millennials from our friends yesterday, my Cornell buddies over there. We're so into social media these days that it's not enough to take a picture of what we do. We have to take a picture of ourselves taking a picture of what we do, right? The reality is this. Here's what is so important. We were born in 2004, thank goodness. Okay, we have that luxury. Facebook was just being born. Twitter did not exist, and no one ever heard of an iPhone. Okay, we have had the gift of being born into the social media age. And here's what's really important. I don't care what business you're in, you better realize this is what's up. No matter what I do today, I am obligated to share it immediately with everyone I know and millions of people I don't. Period. I have to. It's the new rules of the game. You don't like it? Too bad. You're getting old. It is required. And guess what that means? Guess what that means? Am I going to take a picture of the dollar menu and tell all my friends that's where I am? No, I am not. I'm going to take a picture of me at Whole Foods and me at the Container Store and me with my friends doing cool things with brands whose ethos I share. And if I don't share them, I'm not sharing. And because I'm not sharing and I have to share, I'm probably not going. So we better figure out how we all have businesses where people want to share everything they're doing with our business all the time. I actually was thinking about this. I probably shouldn't say this, Doug and Julian, Doug will kill me, but I think the price of admission for this conference next year should be that you bring someone who you work with who's younger and smarter than you. Because this is changing everything, and we better be ready for it. So we said, whoever wrote the rule, you can't serve good burgers to order at a Mets game at a baseball stadium. Go Mets, they're in the playoffs. My Yankees lost last night, but I'll take it. And whoever wrote the rule, you can't build a burger joint that looks like this. 10% of our energy for that restaurant comes off that solar roof. Have you seen a restaurant selling $5 burgers that looks like that? You know, and this just opened in Austin, Texas. If you all want to join me, I'm going to try to escape at some point tonight to go see my team out here. And what do? We built a bocce court and Adirondack chairs, and it's a place for people to hang. If you are going to spend $5 eating a burger, where are you going to go? We're going to change the experience of it. And when we get into London, we opened in Covent Garden and took a 500-year-old market building and made it work for Shake Shack. We're in Kuwait, a huge part of our business in the Middle East, interesting enough, and it works. In Istanbul, in Saudi Arabia. And when you do all these things and you then think about how you focus on things, it changes the conversation. So here, let's get back to our people now. That's Secretary Tom Perez and I having lunch. When the rest of our competitors and the people who are in our business are running for the hills, and there are people protesting outside of their businesses for $15 an hour, I better have lunch with Tom and think about this. And when I do, some really other cool people are going to hang out with our team. Can you imagine how that felt for our team members to have the president and vice president slide behind the counter at Shake Shack one day? Cool people notice when you do cool things. I could give a whole speech on enlightened hospitality. I wish I had the time, but Danny probably did when he was here a few years ago. But let's sum it up. Our favorite quote from the great Maya Angelou: people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And I bet you're not going to remember a damn thing I said today, but I hope you remember how I made you feel, good or bad. That is what we're after. And I'm going to sum up enlightened hospitality in 3 quick ways, in the ways that I teach my team about it. Number 1, hospitality occurs when you feel like I'm on your side. You feel like I'm on your side. When was the last time you went to a burger joint and you felt like that person behind the counter was on your side? Probably a long time, all right? That is what we're trying to do every day in every interaction, no matter with who the stakeholder is. You feel like I'm on your side, whether it's a shareholder or the guy dropping off the potatoes or the guy fixing our air conditioner. He better feel like I'm on his side, all right? Second, hospitality occurs when things in life happen for you, not to you. Big difference, and most of the time things happen to us and it doesn't feel good. So we're trying hard to do that. And third, we talk about something that we call the charitable assumption. I want to talk about this because this is one of my favorite stories. There's a CEO, like all us real important folks here, right? And she's always on the road and she's tired and she's at the airport. And she buys herself a bag of cookies, gets to the airport, sits down waiting for her plane. A few minutes later, she looks over. The gentleman next to her is eating her cookies. And she's so tired and burned at this point, she just can't even believe it. Move on. A few minutes later, looks back. There's the gentleman. He picks up her cookies and offers her one. And now she is livid, man. She is pissed, and she is like, forget it. She gets out of there. She gets on the plane. Cannot believe this just happened. And 2 hours later, she's on the plane going through her bag, and what did she find? Her cookies. Right? I'm a born New Yorker. I live in New York, raising my kids there. I can't believe I said that, but I am somehow. And we're just hardwired as New Yorkers to not trust everything, right? We think you're trying to screw us no matter what, right? That's just what we do. And most of the people, I would say, in the world are that way in some way, more and more. We mistrust CEOs, we mistrust people, we mistrust the guy getting our burger. And we nonstop talk to our team about the charitable assumption and just using trust and believing that the other person is on your side. And when we do that, man, it changes every interaction you can possibly have. If I come back and say, my burger's not cooked right, you can look at it and say, yeah, it is. Or you can say, of course it isn't. Let me get you another one, man. It's really easy to do. It's not going to put us out of business. I think the most dangerous people in the organization are not the people who are overwhelming, because you're going to promote them and you love them. And it's not the people who are underwhelming, because they're not good and you're going to fire them. It's the people who are just whelming. Those guys are the most dangerous people in your organization, and those are the ones you got to get rid of, because they're the most dangerous that you can have. So Kip briefly talked about our leadership retreat. This is what it looked like. 300 leaders from around the world came together to calibrate our vision, to think about what we do, and just to have fun. I mean, anybody who's ever been to summer camp knows we did a summer camp version of Color Wars that we had one torn ACL, and our CFO is so pissed about what's happening to our insurance rates because of this. We had a broken elbow. I mean, the amount of like crazy things that we did that I need to rethink actually, but damn, it was so fun for everybody else. Was just amazing. And in a year where we took the company public, it could have easily gone the other way. And we just like to have fun, and we like to bond. And this is what the first night looked like, where we lit up the fire, because our company is on fire. And man, we better not forget that every day we have a responsibility to burn that fire bigger. And that's what we were doing on this day when we started. So going back in time a little bit now, this happened. Now, after John and Walter yesterday, I'm wondering if that was a good thing or not. But it was pretty cool. So far, it's been pretty cool. I have no doubt I'll sit on this stage and there will be times where it's not cool at all. But it was the right thing for us, and it's working, and it has inspired our team in a way. And whoever wrote the rule that as a public company, you couldn't take over Wall Street, and on the day of the IPO, we gave out free burgers, and about 1,000 people lined up in a January day, and you wouldn't believe what it looked like sitting there on Wall Street in front of what they actually eliminated the New York Stock Exchange, and they called it the New York Shack Exchange that day. They put up a huge thing. But what's the whole point? Why do we do it? Man, on that day, you can't believe how many people we involved in that day. How many of our leaders got stock, got options, or at least got to ride the bus around New York that day, throwing out free Shack swag and inspiring people to understand how different Shake Shack really is. So, whatever happened to those fries? Okay, let's get back to the fries. Remember, we made the best damn fresh cut fry anywhere. Freaking good, man. It was so good. And people fucking hated it. And when I tell you they hated it, I'm telling you they hated it. And the tweets were coming in, the Instagram posts, 50 a day, 70 a day, 100 a day. And then the team was calling and saying, hey, do you know there's a lot more water around? And we seem to be slipping a little bit more around here. And actually, we're getting burnt more often the way we do this. And you know those cool potato choppers you have? Well, at some point on the millionth potato of the day, it falls off the wall. And then I got to figure out to cut potatoes for thousands of people every day. But they were all wrong. You see, I was right. Because I know that I made a decision and I'm going to go forward with it. It's a vision. It's conscious capitalism. We're going to be fresh, man. And there wasn't a stakeholder in the room who believed in it anymore. And our team was just more bloodied than ever. And our marketing team was answering all these complaints. And we kept saying, well, fry 5, man. Fry forward. It's going to work. Just hang in there, because we know this is better. This is better. So to the whole point of all of us conscious leaders here, right? Herein lies the great question for us. When you have made a decision that you know it points true north, you're going, it is the right thing to do. Whether it's fries or some other amazing thing that you've all done. And you've gotten yourself so deep in the trenches, so deep in conviction, that nothing, even nothing outside of that vacuum can convince you that it's wrong. At what point do you listen? And do you really give up? And at what point do you realize that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't right? So I want to share with you my point. And This was an amazing day. I'll never forget it. We were 6 months into the fry disaster. Jerry Seinfeld, okay? Big Shaq fan, lives down the block from Shaq. His wife, Jessica, who's a celebrity in her own right. We sponsored their team's Little League. And we sent a bunch of burgers one day, and they said, thank you at Shake Shack. P.S. Can we discuss the French fry change at some point? Now, that was funny and a moment to note, but it wasn't the moment that turned me. The moment that turned me is on the very same day, my own kids, whose team I coach and I sponsor, I ordered Shake Shack for the last game of the season to celebrate. And do you know what I did? I didn't order fries. I was embarrassed and knew the kids weren't going to like them, and I didn't even order fries for my own kids' game. And I walked in the next day to Danny Meyer, and we sat down and we looked at each other, and I said, I think we fucked this up. And it was like the greatest therapy moment of my life. We finally lifted the pressure of it and lifted the idea of it and said, you know what? We got it wrong. And it's okay. And it is okay as conscious leaders when we're going true north and when we're so convinced to know that we got something wrong. And the yummy crinkle cut fries came back. But they came back in a cool way because in that moment we had opened in London. And those cool guys in the UK, they don't allow any preservatives or colors or anything in that country, which we do here. So we had to get rid of all that stuff. So in the process, we figured out how to get rid of all that stuff for our frozen fry. And when we brought them back, we took out all that stuff. So what to learn from here, right? I think there's 3 major lessons I would take. Number 1, listen to your kids. Always your kids have the answer. The amount of tasting sessions I did with my children, all under the age of 6, trying to convince them that the new ones were better, and they just kept saying, like, I like this crinkle cut fried. I'm like, yeah, but you're just stupid kids. You don't know. You don't know. So forget about your vote. So listen to your kids. They always have the answer. Second thing is, man, you all know this. I don't need to say it, but I'm going to say it because you need to rehear it. You better listen to your team. And I don't mean your executive team only. I mean the guys working, cooking fries. Because if those guys don't believe in it, you're dead on arrival, man. You are dead. I don't care if you create the greatest thing that everybody loves. If your team doesn't want it and they don't care, dead, dead, dead. And our team tried. They were good soldiers. They were dedicated. But, man, they did not want it. And I went back to Danny's menu, which I should have done the first time. And I looked and I wrote what he wrote. He wrote French fries. And then clearly at some point, and now I'm doing some psychology on him, but at some point he forgot that he wanted crinkle cut and he wrote it above. I should have noted that. I should have noted that because the real answer lies in knowing where you started and what makes your company great and never veering too far from that. Now here's some silver lining. We spent all that money with a whole bunch of fryers. So we got all these extra fryers. We might as well develop something cool. So we're working real hard on a really good fried chicken sandwich that we never had. Rainbows out of storms. Where's John? Somewhere in here. That's how we're looking at it. And the last message of all of this, I'm going to tell a quick story to start to come to the end here, which about Union Square Cafe. Okay, I joined this company 16 years ago. I thought I was hot shit, and I was going to take over and be the man and whatever. And I ran a restaurant that we had called Tabla. And it was young and sexy and loud, and the food was so good and fun, and it was a great restaurant. And I didn't get Union Square Cafe. I didn't understand why everybody said, well, Union Square Cafe is the best. Anyone ever been to Union Square Cafe in New York City? So only a few of you, but it's one of the most important restaurants to ever open in our country, right? But it's simple. It's not sexy. The design is really okay, and the food is really good. But you don't walk in there and say, yeah, this is, oh my God, this is the sexiest thing I've ever seen. And I didn't get it. For years working at our company as a leader, I didn't get it. One day I was Christmas shopping on 5th Avenue, found myself near Union Square Cafe, and decided to go in and have lunch by myself. I sat down at a table by myself and looked out at what was happening in the dining room. And what was happening was joy and connection of people at a table. Not being challenged about what's on the plate, not being challenged about what was designed in this beautiful sculpture and lighting fixture. None of that mattered, because what mattered was the simple human interaction of what was happening at Union Square Cafe. That was the genius of what Danny Meyer built. That thing is what Shake Shack has stumbled upon much by accident. We're giving a place where people just want to be together. And I would encourage all of us conscious leaders to stop and think sometimes when you think about fries or the next thing you're going to do. What is the thing, the very reason that effortlessly and without any energy, people love to use your brand and your company? Because that thing happened at some point, and that thing built your company. And if you ever start to challenge what that subconscious thing is about how people see and understand and experience your brand, I'll bet you it's going to be a mistake. And we lived it, man. We lived it hard. Now, some people say the best thing you could do a year before you go public is make a really bad decision that ruins your sales last year, like fries, because our comps are really good this year. So one of the things that can happen here. But that natural, that seamless connection to what your brand is and how it started is why our companies are what they are. And I would encourage you to never forget that. All right. With that, I don't know if we have Q&A, but I am going to say that in a good surprise for y'all, I got a team outside cooking burgers. Yes. And I need you, I'm going to trade you. Nobody's getting a burger in here until we talk about this. I think we've got fries. And I'm not going to cut them fresh for you, no matter what you say. I need you to do me a favor. This whole conference, we talked a lot about people and wages and whatever. Go thank my team for who they are and the noble profession that they are in. When was the last time you did that with somebody who cooked a hamburger for you? When was the last time you allowed that person to have self-esteem and confidence in the job that they are doing? They're out there working their ass off to cook you burgers. Go thank them. And the next time you go to somebody in this industry, go thank them. And remember that probably is going to mean more to that person than anything else we could do today. And with that, I thank you for all your energy and time. It's fun.